You've tuned in to Just Vibe with Melody. And did y'all see that new Tyler Perry movie? The Straw? Not only was that movie so powerful as it relates to our culture, but it also told a very powerful story of women that we very rarely hear. We're discussing The Straw right now. Now, it took me about a good day before I had the opportunity to actually sit down and watch the movie. And before watching it, I seen mixed reviews. I seen some people saying how horrible the movie was, and then I seen other people that spoke of how powerful it was. And I guess it all depends on your mindset and the way you perceive the movie. But luckily, I'm not one to take anybody's word for it, but I like to see things for myself. So last night, I decided while I was laying down in a quiet moment, let me check this movie out. And when I tell y'all that movie did not disappoint, I broke daylight watching this movie and crying my eyes out. I cried for the many struggles that myself as a Black woman has had to endure. I cried for so many Black women all around the world who felt the pain that Taraji P. Henson played in this movie, The Shore. It didn't just speak of a moment of a woman just going through life's challenges, but it spoke of the struggle of the Black woman in America that has been happening for centuries and generations upon generations. This movie did an amazing job painting the picture of the struggle of the Black woman in America, which is a topic that's very often swept under the rug and not discussed. We as Black women are forced to continue life, regardless of how we feel, regardless of how emotionally drained we may be at times, even maybe battling depression. We are forced to just pat ourselves on the back, quickly dry our eyes, and get back to life. And at times, this can be catastrophic to the mentality of the Black woman. I mean, let's just think about it for the moment. The average Black woman in America doesn't have the moment to just lay around and heal and be nourished and nurtured back to good health. To give birth means your center, your womb, has just been opened to another realm because you are giving birth from the child within you into the physical world. That is a very powerful movement that happens that I think we don't really sit down and think about. We just do it. It's just like second nature. Okay, I'm pregnant. Okay, time to give birth. But we don't think about how very spiritual that act of giving birth is. Back in the day, our ancestors understood this. They were very intentional about nurturing a mother back to good health and also catering to her hand and foot because they understood the importance of what just occurred. It wasn't just a baby being born, but it was a portal that had just opened. And that takes an extreme amount of comfort, solitude, and rest in order to move back and operate in the physical realm effectively. This is something that my book talks about, My Sacred Womb Healed. So if you don't have a copy yet, please click the link in the description to get your copy today. The wisdom of our ancestors, we have been told to do away with it, that it's witchcraft, it's evil, it's demonic, it's of the devil. And what they were doing was literally destroying the Black woman. Because we rely on this stuff. We are very spiritual beings. Black people are very spiritually connected and in tune. So they knew that by taking away this spiritual aspect of giving birth and the ways that we went about doing things, such as eating certain foods to replenish our bodies, to nourish our bodies, taking the rest that we need and not having to be overburdened so quick with the daily task of life so soon. But they knew that we needed to take that rest and take that time to heal. And it is why so many women today deal with postpartum because they don't have this time to come back to themselves from crossing spiritual realms. You are literally crossing one realm to the next to give birth and back again. And you have no time to ground yourself before jumping back into life. Don't you think that you'll be a little bit off too? You're going to be very depressed and you're not going to understand why. And it's all because these spiritual practices that our ancestors keep, we no longer keep or we don't know about it. And it leaves us having to deal with what they call postpartum. It's not postpartum, but it is an inability to effectively connect with thyself spiritually upon giving birth. A very important step in the process that we just don't do. And this part of the process is very important. And without it, we're lost, we're broken, we're confused, we're sad. On the flip side of the equation, Us Black women just navigating life can be so challenging. It can be so depressing. It can be so discouraging because we aren't very often afforded the same opportunities as other women in different cultures. So, for example, the European in America has a lot more support from society than we as Black women do. We literally have to fight for everything that we have. There is nothing handed to us, and there is no one coming to knock on our door and hand us generational wealth, unfortunately. Very often, we try to go into banks to get first-time loans to open a business or first-time loans to purchase a home. We try to take these steps that is going to help elevate us in life. But each and every time that we make this attempt, we are only met with closed doors. A lot of it has to do with poor money management, the lack of financial literacy. We aren't trained how to spend money. We aren't trained how to be a good steward over our money. We're trained to splurge our money, spend our money, buy the newest Jordans, the newest handbag, going broke, buying weaves, and unnecessary items that isn't going to bring us generational wealth, but is only set in place to continue to drain our wealth and continue to sabotage us as Black women. And yes, I say sabotage. These measures are not in place to help us, but we are always the target market. They know that one thing a Black woman is going to do is spend some money. And they take full advantage of that. When they create their ads, they're targeting us. And likewise, when they have financial opportunities set in place through banks and things of the such, we are also excluded from receiving such services. Oftentimes, we're giving harsher restrictions and extreme scrutiny in judging whether we should be approved or not. But our counterparts, the European woman, can walk into the bank, have no credit or very bad credit for that matter, and still get that loan. A European woman can walk into that car dealership and still be approved for a car note. No problem, no questions asked. And this is something that I learned a long time ago as well when I was living in the States, that your zip code matters. Do you know that they target us according to the zip code in which we live? So if your zip code is of a poverty-stricken area and you try to walk into that bank and get that loan, you are automatically denied. Why? Because of the zip code from which you come. And secondly, because of the color of your skin. Them taking all of these demographics, it's not just to keep up with the population, but it is to target Black people from being successful. It is to ensure that we stay down and out and we never have an opportunity to achieve generational wealth. As Black women, we find ourselves in neighborhoods where it's poverty stricken, where there is extreme violence happening. And at the same time, we are forced to raise our children in these neighborhoods. That alone is a mental trauma because the devastation of giving birth, knowing that you're bringing a child into an environment that's not going to be conducive for their health or their sanity. Automatically, it's playing on your emotions, the fact that you're bringing a child into an unhealthy environment, and you know that there's nothing that you can do about it, especially if you have been raised yourself in such environments. It's so hard to pull yourself out of it. Now, it's not impossible, and there are many people who have come from very poor income families and have become very successful. So I'm not saying that it's impossible to do, but it is very difficult. As Black women, we have to wipe our tears. We have to pick ourselves up. We don't have the liberty of healing from our traumas, but we are forced to continue in life with our traumas intact without even unpacking the underlying issues of that trauma. And what happens? It becomes a generational pass on. Because we are damaged, we oftentimes damage our children. And then as our children grow, because they too were damaged, they often repeat the same behavior forward and further damage their children. And you see how the cycle continues. Not to mention that the image of the male in a Black household has become almost non-existent. Very often, the Black man is out of the household before the child can even be birthed into this world. And now a Black woman is forced to be a single mother, trying to raise her child on her own, having to go to work, having to come home, having to handle school issues, having to handle the issues of a child, especially if that child is a child who struggles medically. All of that burden, that financial hardship is on the back of the Black woman. And then to top it all off, life is not very kind to her. It becomes mental exhaustion. You are so tired of just dealing with the same dilemmas over and over again. It's like you're in a cage, you're in a jail cell, and there's no way to go. There's nowhere to turn. There's no one to offer you a helping hand, and you have to do it alone. You have to do it as a Black woman. You have to do it as a mother. You have to do it all with a smile on your face and still pretend that everything is okay, but inside you are dying inside. I think a lot of us Black women felt the pain of Taraji P. Henson in that role. She did an amazing job being very vocal about the challenges of a Black woman. And it's not easy to be a woman, and it's for damn sure not easy to be a Black woman in America. And this is one of the reasons why I made the decision to leave America and relocate here to Ghana with my children. Because I no longer wanted to be that angry Black woman. And I remember coming to Ghana, how angry I was. I was angry at a lot of the things that I had to endure as a mother in America. I was angry that my children had to be subjected to certain things that they were subjected to in America. I was angry because I wasn't afforded the same opportunities as I've seen white European women being afforded. I was angry because no one ever handed me anything. No one ever came and said, here, Melody, here's your generational wealth. I was never given that opportunity. All of my life, I have had to fight to become who I am. I have had to fight. But moving to Ghana, I have been able to heal. I have been able to find my solitude. I have been able to be grounded. I have found so much peace in knowing that my kids can go outside and they can play, that they are safe, that no one's coming to snatch them and run away, that no one is coming to harm them, that they can be outside playing around and I don't have to fear that they're going to be pum down in the streets by accident or intentional. I don't have to fear that my Black sons, who will very soon be men, have to be subjected to police brutality. Those were fears that I lived with as a Black woman in America. Those are fears that I could not shake as a mother. Each and every passing day that I spent in America, I wish that it was just all a bad dream. But I knew that it wasn't. It was our reality. As Africans living in America, we needed a way out, and I needed a different reality for my children. So yes, I was very intentional about speaking a different reality for my children, very intentional about speaking a different reality for myself, very intentional about being able to take the time and raise my children, spend time with my children, and not having to be subjected to handing them over to a corrupt, unjust system to raise them while I go run off to a 9-to-5 job that I hate every single day to provide for my kids. That is a life that I did not want to live. And that is ultimately why I made the decision to move to Ghana. So no, everything is not always peaches and cream here in Ghana. Yes, things get very challenging, and there are times that I am vocal about those challenges. But I would choose Ghana 1,000 times over before I would want to be subjected to having to raise my kids in America. Now, don't get me wrong. I will come and go. I don't mind coming back and forth, traveling to the States, saying, hey, doing what I got to do, busting my little 1-2s, and coming back to Ghana. But to be in the States indefinitely, just thinking about getting on the plane to go back to the States, I get anxiety. And I have had my fair share of struggling here in Ghana. Trust and believe. We have had our moments, okay? But I would never want to trade the moments of our struggle here in Ghana for a life in America. I don't care what I've had to go through here in Ghana. So we as Black people have to start thinking differently. And we especially as Black women have to start thinking differently. Because we are the rock of our households. We are that pillar. We are the glue that holds it all together when things are falling apart. So we have to start thinking about our own sanity before we end up like Taraji did on the shore. And I feel like 99% of us Black women are right where Taraji was in that movie in this moment. It's time to start doing things differently, family. It's time to start thinking outside of the box. And it's for sure time to start thinking relocating back here to the continent of Africa. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in Ghana, but just pick any country. Return home where you have peace, solitude, where you're nurtured, where you're able to be healed back into existence, where you're able to take your time and not have to be rushed back into life before you're ready. We got this, and we are healing. So this movie wasn't about the limitations of a Black woman, but it was a very cold reality of the fact that we need to take back our narrative and take back our existence, because our existence has been in the hands of the colonizers for far too long. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Thank you for being here with me on today. And drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are, not only on just this topic, but also on the movie The Straw. If this is your first time here on the channel, let me take this opportunity to say welcome, and please consider hitting that subscribe button before you go. I will see y'all on the next video.